The
Right.
circle of
Oh,
death.
there we
Oh,
go.
there it is.
Yeah. So when I get into bed, I cannot, because of my leg, I can't face the direction I need to. So it throws my equilibrium all off.
Oh yeah, no, I totally get that. Like I totally have to be like I have to be the big spoon and establish dominance, which means I have to be up high in the bed on my side with my leg with my left
Right.
leg cocked over C,
Uh,
or my back to him, back to back, to
right.
where my right leg's drawn into my chest and I'm curled up facing the doorknob. That way, like if
Yeah.
I hear anything, I'm like I'm ready. I'm
Right.
always on guard.
And of course, it's like, because what it is also, I can never get into the optimal position to make sure my feet are covered.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You
Gotta
remember, you
keep that.
always need to have your feet covered to
Always
keep the
have your
monsters
feet covered.
to keep the monsters from under the bed grabbing you. So
Daphne,
yeah,
are
so
you
it's
still taking a run and jump after you turn the lights off?
it's like, no, I am in no condition to run and jump anything. That's for sure.
Good morning, everyone.
Oh my goodness.
It is January 6th,
Oh my God.
2023.
Happy. I think yesterday was Three Kings Day. So happy Three Kings Day, which officially marks the end of the Christmas season. So we could get back to work.
Over with. All right, you ready for this?
No, absolutely not, but hit it.
All right. The views and opinions expressed within the video content found on the Indie Comics Network are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of the Indie Comics Network or its sponsors.
It's Monty Moore. I'm a 30-year comics veteran in comics, games, and movies, and you've been watching one of my absolute favorite podcasts, Catch the Craze.
You are watching Catch the Craze.
What am I listening to?
And you're listening to Catch the Craze.
Where are all the indies at? A Catch the Craze podcast.
What are you watching?
I'm watching Catch the Craze.
What are you going to do?
Subscribe now to Catch the Craze, the #1 show online for independents.
Have you subscribed to?
If you are an independent, catch the craze. Making moves on your own, catch the craze. On your grind in the streets, catch the craze. Join the movement, catch the craze.
Catch the Craze.
Hi.
I'm all
my goodness.
jacked up on cough syrup.
Oh no, everybody's having issues for the beginning. Like I said, it's like, because even my sister ended up having issues at the beginning of the year. It's like, look, hopefully it's just we're getting all this bullshit over with now so we can have clear sailing for the rest of the year. It's like, hopefully that's all this is. Because like I said, it's like, welcome from the chair, which I haven't been able to sit in properly for the past like 3.5 weeks. So at least I am back completely, not sitting on the edge, not doing like this. It's like, no, I'm actually sitting in the chair. And it's kind of amazing. Like, we all heard the cliche, right? It's the little things we take for granted, and it's like, this was one of the little things, one of the many little things I had been taking for granted, being able to sit in this chair. So I hit another milestone, not exactly a pain-free milestone, but I hit a milestone. Let's not do this again. Afraid. So here we go. So we have Marvi, we have Joe, we have Afraid, we have Allison. Good morning. Oh my goodness. As Jake is here too. You had an epiphany. Really? Oh, of course you did. Yesterday's the epiphany.
Oh no.
Look at me not getting it's the muscle relaxants. It's like I told Nita I took some muscle relaxants yesterday, and it had it explained a lot. Let's just say that with my mood yesterday. So yeah. So yes. So welcome everybody to another Friday. I almost said Monday. It is Friday.
Yeah,
Right?
thank
It's
goodness,
like,
because we have an appointment.
oh yeah, it's appointments all around. I have mine on Wednesdays, so at least I get to get that out of the way. Hold on, let me just adjust my volume here. There we go. Okay, we're good. So welcome everybody to another edition of the Rage Into the Vlogs show. It's Friday. Welcome Friday. We all get to go through this Friday together. So hello, my name is Daphne Lage, and I'm a cartoonist, illustrator, and comic book artist from New York. I have been self-publishing comics since 1992, and I am known for the furry, absolutely furry fantasy adventure. Oh my god, I got stuck there. Somebody hit the
For real.
yeah, somebody hit the record player. For the
Love it.
furry fantasy adventure Tall Tales, which is returning to Kickstarter as soon as I can get those bastards to approve the page. I mean, it's like I had emailed them. I had originally tried to get the page approved about a month or so ago, but what happened was that they finally looked at it when Eager Raven went live, so they wouldn't allow it to approve because you already have a campaign running. So I have to wait for them to approve it again. Well, hopefully approve it this time around. So, and when it does, it'll be returning to Kickstarter. Like I said, as soon as they get it approved and I can get that pre-launch page up. But I am also, and I am known for my medieval fantasy soap opera drama, Eager Raven, Heir of the First Unicorn, which returns to Kickstarter late spring 2023. Already, we are on issue 6, so keep an eye out for that as well. In the meantime, you can read both my comics online at Tall Tales, TAILS online.com, and egoworks.com, EGOWORKS. And you can check out all my videos on how I do my comics and do everything and whatever else here on YouTube at my channel at Daphne Lage Art, which also simulcasts through the Indie Comics Network. And to tell you more about it is the congested Nita Lanning.
Yeah, I'm Nita Lanning. I'm the executive producer of Indie Comics Network and Indie Comics Network After Dark. And we have a whole lineup of shows that are just now coming back from holiday hiatus and some new shows coming. And stuff, comics and stuff.
Right, yeah. Always comics and stuff, but mostly comics with
Mostly
stuff.
comics.
Yeah, mostly comics with stuff.
Business and bullshit.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, when I saw the title to that, it's like, I don't know what that means. I mean, I know the bullshit part, but the business part,
Yeah, whatever. It just means whatever.
Yeah, exactly. So like I was saying, it's like it's the little things that we take for granted, and me being able to sit back in my chair is a milestone in the past in the past couple of weeks, several weeks in fact. And it just reminded me that I do have to slow down a bit. Hey George. But again, no panic attacks this year. I'm not looking forward to no panic attacks this year. Absolutely.
No, that wasn't cool.
That's very 2022. So we're gonna leave it there. But also the thing is that it's like not being able to work properly, not to get it wrong. It's like I have been able to get some work done in spite of my whole thing with the leg. But not as much as I want to, not what I really wanted to. And at least today, I'm finally back on my comic book pages. I'm finishing the Tall Tales pages that are on my list. And hopefully I will be able to, the goal is to cross that off my to-do list by tomorrow. So that I'm finally looking forward to doing. Um, yeah, so it's like, and then it's like, yeah, then it's just like just moving back on to schedule and getting back into the routine of things. Like I said, the Epiphany was yesterday, the Three Kings Day, the last day of Christmas, the 12th day of Christmas. So you know what? Now it's like, okay, the holidays are officially over. It's time to put the
We
notes
got
to
all
the
the
drive.
birds and
Yeah,
everything. It's time to move on.
12 drummers drumming and all that shit. It's like we're all now it's time to just get back to work. And yeah, and see, and that's the funny thing with your title because it's like business. Yeah, well, that would be nice. No imposter syndrome for 2023. Let's leave all that behind. Yeah, and that's the funny thing because I've always been accused of not paying attention to the business end of comics, like not treating it as a business. Like I'm very passionate about the work that I do,
Right.
about, and that's what dominates in my head. It's like, yeah, okay, so like I said, if you really want the business and the business doing the business part of comics, it's like I would think that JD's show Talking Comics on a Sunday, which is a panel show, where he talks to all these different creators and gets like all these different ideas and whatnot, out of them, and suggestions and whatnot. That's kind of if that's what you really want, yeah, it's like you can watch that show, but it's like when it just deals, with me. I mean, Nita's all about the business too. It's like she's just all about the marketing and whatnot. But when it comes to me, though, it's like, this is everything I do is kind of like very passion centered.
It's because you're kissed by that Aries fire. Everything
Well,
is passionate and hot.
well,
And
that's
sexy.
true. Yeah, well, yeah, and supposedly, I'm also Year of the Pig, which is supposed to do really, really well in Year of the Rabbit. So hopefully that all means something. I'd like to say I don't believe in astrology until I do, type of thing.
We're not basic bitches.
Right, yeah, exactly. So that's the thing, because it's like, like the other day, JD started trying to tell me about like some other creator who like claimed that, okay, they could read your byline and know whether you're going to make five figures or not, just right, just so like they could read your byline and they can tell by that whether you're going to be successful on Kickstarter or not. And the question was, okay, what's the type of books that this guy does? And in the end, it turned out that the guy does titty books too. It's like he's doing TNA books too. So it's like, okay, so it's like, what was the whole point of that exercise? I guess what struck him as funny was that the reason why this guy stood out was that this guy, he was doing TNA books, but from a different angle. If there could ever be a thought, if you could even imagine such a thing. So what it is that we're all used to the TNA books that we see, the Lady Deaths and Zombie Tramp and stuff like that. And then it's like you have this other type of TNA book that exists on Kickstarter where it's more like kind of like a slice of life TNA book, but it's like you can tell that it's like, oh, they're going for a more female centered demographic with that stuff. Now, the thing is, though, it's like either one of those ends, they do really nothing for me. It's like, so it's like when they say, oh, this is kind of like TNA books for the female crowd, I don't know what that means. Usually I like to call
Probably
it
softcore porn.
Yeah.
They say like female friendly porn is all that soft, passionate shit. Like we
Right.
don't like our hair pulled, being
Right,
tied
yeah.
down and our asses whooped.
And not only that, what I notice is that the artwork tends to be a lot uglier too. So it's like I don't understand like what like for some reason if you're doing like TNA books for women, the artwork has to be uglier. Like that's the part that has to suffer. So it's like, well, but that's besides the point, though. That's not really,
That's neither here nor there.
But right. I mean, the whole point was that, it's just another TNA guy. In the end, it's just another TNA guy, claiming they have the secret sauce to being successful on Kickstarter. And it's like, and I'm looking at this and I go, this means nothing to me. It's like, I can't do anything with this information. And it's like, me and Jose are going back and forth. And he's like, trying to argue that it's like, no, you have to learn from everybody. It's like, there comes a point where it's like, look, even if he's doing this from a different angle, i.e., this is a female demographic that he's catering to, it's the same shit. He's still doing TNA books. So it's like, unless, and I told this to him, it's like, look, unless you're going to do variant covers with Diane grinding on a mushroom, this information is useless to us. Because it's like this is not our audience. No matter what we study from Nita with that visual, no matter what we study from these people, the information is meaningless.
Right.
And there really does come a point where we just have to understand that it's like, if you're not going to go in that direction with your work, right? If that's not your passion project, if that's not your life's passion with your work, does it matter what Polito does? It's like, does it matter what like Charlotte Trotman at Iron Circus Comics does? Does it matter? Now, mind you, there's certain things that Iron Circus, I really do agree with that, Patrick. I really do. That it's like, it's porn for women, but don't let on that we get turned on.
Well, no,
kind of
we
thing.
never do that.
But that's, like I said, that's more of a House of Bob discussion, and I don't want to but the thing is, though, it's like, there comes a point where advice isn't for us. It's like, unless so unless you're going to do those types of books, that advice becomes meaningless. And like I said, with Iron Circus Comics, they have, if there is anything to learn from them, is the fact that they utilize the more mainstream, but like beyond comics, it's like the more publishing mainstream distribution center. Like, she goes through, I think, Ingram, she's distributed in libraries, so it's like she runs on a completely different distribution system for her books than Diamond. She says that Diamond is like this right. this much of her sales, when going through like bookstores and libraries, especially, it's like this to this, and she was saying that the big difference between going through like a traditional publishing distributor is that they actually have an incentive to sell your books. Diamond doesn't have an incentive. They literally have salespeople that are dedicated to selling your books. So, Diamond doesn't do that. You're in the catalog and it's still up to you to sell your book or not. They actually have dedicated salespeople for that their job is to sell your books. So it's a completely different system. But you see, the problem is that she explained is that that requires volume in order for it to function properly. You can't go in as an individual publisher with one book. As a publisher, I think it's like she has like 30 or 40 titles or something. I mean, she can do that. She can take advantage of that system. So there's always something to learn, but like I said, there does come a point where certain advice is meaningless to us. And like I said, and in this point, it's like, we have to study everybody. And it's like, yeah, but if he's telling, if this person you want me to study is just saying the same thing over and over, if you do TNA books, you'll kind of have an advantage on Kickstarter. that, like I said, that's meaningless to me, because it's like that's never going to be the type of book that I'm doing. I mean, even if we do House of Bob, it doesn't, even House of Bob doesn't fit in those parameters that TNA books succeed at.
Right.
You know, it's not a sequential storytelling thing. It's just pinups. They're more art books than there are sequential books. So, you know, so I guess my point is that, you know, is that, yeah, it's like just like I had to kind of sit there and really, really, you know, accept the fact that we're in this for a long, rocky road. You know, for all of us, for everybody in the chat who is doing their books that do not follow this formula, you know, we just have to expect, you know, we just have to expect that our road is going to be longer and rockier than, you know, because of the type of books that we want to put out, as opposed to just running a formula. You know, it's like I've always said before that it's like, if I just really wanted to make money, I'd go get a job. It's a lot easier than making comics. And if I'm going to spend that effort to make comics, I want to make the comics that I want to make, you know, not what some formula, you know, people are saying this is what succeeds on Kickstarter. You know, so, you know, and here's the thing too. So I was just remembering the whole top 200 most funded, which people are still up my ass about.
Oh
and
my
like,
God. And we weren't, and they're on
you know?
a point that we weren't even fucking talking
Right.
about.
So
because
it's
that's
like,
what all
just
they
so you
fucking
know,
jump to.
so yeah, so just all you know, I'm ignoring all of you because I'm tired of keeping
Go fuck
repeating
yourselves
myself.
because you didn't listen to what we were talking
Right.
about in the
Tired of
first damn
repeating
place.
myself. So we're not going to talk about that. However, so the other day, and by the way, congratulations to Sam Vera for launching, having a successful launch for There's an Alien in My Toilet. He reached goal during his live stream. So thank you everybody who supported that book. And yeah, so now it's all gravy from here. Because once you make goal, at least that's the pressure off your mind.
Right.
So now the thing is though, so I was thinking about his book. And kind of the real thing that jumped out at me when I did that top 200 aggregation. Is that a word? I don't know.
It is now.
Right, it is now.
We made it one.
Right. Is that if there was one thing that stood out, is that if you're doing an all ages comic, you really are in for a rough time.
You are the lowest common denominator.
You know, I mean, because like I said, not one of the books that was on that list, the top 200 most funded, not one of them were advertised as all ages comics.
Well, the person who pointed it out, it was literally a fucking switch. It was Tom Hutchinson on JD's show that brought up the fact that to me, like the biggest platform to draw attention to crowdfunders outside of Facebook is YouTube.
Right.
Neither one of those are a kid-friendly platform. Like, well, YouTube is, even though all the kids are on YouTube, marketing towards children is so restrictive on YouTube that it's damn near impossible. It's almost an unobtainable audience. Like,
right. And
you can't sell to no commercials. You can't show crowd funds.
Yeah. I mean, it's a thing, you know, so I was like really thinking about that. Like, so if you're doing well, you see, that's the thing. I mean, formula is the shorthand to that. I mean, it's like, yes, you know, Brian Polito, you know, everybody who's doing those types of TNA books and making 5 figures on Kickstarter, they know their audience. You know, it's like, is there a formula to that audience? Yes, there is. There's particular things they want to see. There's particular art styles they want to see. So it's like, if you know that audience, you're creating a formula, you know, for them. You know, you're catering to them, you're pandering to them. It's like, no matter how you want to say it, that's kind of what it is. Yes, it's about knowing your audience, you know, and that's the thing. But for a lot of us with more niche titles, that that aren't catering to that, we're still trying to figure out who our audience is. Maybe I spend way too much time saying I draw for myself. It's like, well, but the thing is, though, is like, yeah, that's what I usually do. My books are for me first. And then the idea is to find more people like me who want to buy these books from me. So it's just trying to find where those people are at, so it's like, yeah. So, just either saying formula for me or saying, know your audience. I don't know. To me, that's kind of the same thing. Formula just sounds more manufactured. I understand that. Maybe that's why there's more of a negative connotation to it. But the thing is, though, is like, that's what it is. It's like, if you're, it's like, if you want to sell cake to people who like chocolate cake the best, right? You're going to make chocolate cake. Those are the ingredients you need. That's the formula. It's like, okay, if I want to sell more cake to this audience, and this audience prefers chocolate, I'm going to make a chocolate cake, right? But the thing is, though, if you're the type of person who doesn't like chocolate cake, you prefer like rum raisin or hazelnut cake, your audience is someplace else. So you're not going to be able to sell that cake to the people who want chocolate,
Right.
So it's like, you have to find that audience, so, and then it's like, you start, adjusting your formula to that audience once you find them. So so it's like, I was like going, damn, it's like, so what are people who are doing all ages books to do? I mean, it's like I'm like,
they're gonna be the ones that do better on the con floor where you're like when we were taking the kids to the conventions, because the kid's gonna see it at the table point, and it's gonna be that impulse buy because it's something there that you can buy for the kid.
right.
It's it's like it's weird. It depends on where you are and what you're selling as to where your market is.
Right.
From everything, like Allison saying her book's young adult, that's not going to fall, even though it would be considered all ages. The all ages I'm referring to when I'm talking about all ages is geared towards the little kids.
Right.
Even though it could be considered all ages as in family friendly or whatever.
Right.
Things like Duty, The
Right.
Misadventurers, Misfits
Right.
Clubhouse, things of that nature.
Right.
Those I think would do better in conventions, because you'll be dragging the kid along, and the kid sees something and it's appropriate for them. So hey,
Right.
yeah, here's my fucking money.
Right.
Here, shut up, mom and daddy's trying to look for samurai swords.
Right. Yeah.
Type thing.
Yeah. No, really.
But
yeah.
whereas adult does better on YouTube, on crowdfunding, because I think that some people are more reluctant to buy that shit on the floor. They don't want everybody to see, there's don't look at me buy my
Right,
titty
yeah,
book,
exactly.
my money in the greasy
Yeah.
palm slide and
No,
all
for
that
real.
shit.
When we were back in the day, when we had a book called Girls of Terra X out.
Is that the forehead fucking book?
Yes, it is. It's like it's a very, very pornographic book. Like you know what? When I talk about committing to the bit, that's what happened on this book. And the funniest thing that I remember was we were at I think it was Icon. That was a convention that was held on a college campus near here, one of the SUNY colleges. And I guess they had like an organization on college campus that organized these conventions. So we were there. We were there, and we were selling Girls of Terra X on the table. And this dude came over and he started looking through it. And there's particular panels in there that are usually, they either repel you or they guarantee the sell once you see it. And and he got to this particular page and he was going to buy it. And he says, "Oh, I got to get this book." But what happened was that his girlfriend got really, really tight about him wanting to buy that book, because she did, and she was trying to argue with him in front of us about buying the book, and he literally kind of like pushed her and goes, no, I'm buying this book. I'm buying it. And he bought it almost out of defiance. Like, it was just like, so, and yeah, he did buy the book, and and it's like, yes, one unhappy girlfriend later, and that was it. But but the thing is, I was like, yeah, so those, I could see how those books would do better.
Girlfriends
online.
are temporary. Comics next to your toilet are forever.
And the idea is to hopefully find a significant other you can share the book with.
That's ideal.
That's ideal.
I'm lucky. So blessed. Hashtag blessed.
There
basic.
You go.
I'm so basic. Cough syrup. Oh my God.
So I can understand why these books, they see better sales online, where it's it's never it's not that big of an issue because nobody is seeing you or anything. While at conventions, an all ages book is more likely to sell. Now, here's the thing, though. It's like, so when we have a situation where a lot of money is getting raised on crowdfunding, it's like, why does a person who's doing an all ages books, why should they have to not take advantage of that because of the type of book? Because right now, it's like several years ago, before in the before times, it was a lot easier to to kind of like, all I'm doing are conventions, and all you do is, and you don't have to worry about crowdfunding because you're making the rounds, you're in public and whatnot. But ever since the lockdown, that's switched, where now everything is going online. And conventions are now kind of like the minority of it. It's kind of like it's not as big of an outlet as it was before. I mean, it's all slowly coming back, but the question is whether the money is coming back. Because that's also another issue. It's like, are people spending the same money, the same type of money at conventions, that we're seeing them spend on crowdfunding now? And, and I just find it very unfair to think that if you're doing an all ages book because that's what you want to do, right? Yeah, exactly. Like, you made $5,000 out the gate, But George, I don't
look at Wonder Duck as all ages, even though it is all ages.
Right. But did you call Wonder Duck an all ages book?
I think when I was marketing it, I referred to it as all ages a couple of times. But like I said, again, when I'm the all ages books I'm talking about are the books that would be more geared. Yeah, he said more geared towards the little kids.
Right.
So,
and so here's the thing, though. Would it be better for people doing all ages books to not use that phrase altogether?
I absolutely think so now. After the past year, year's experience. Yeah. If someone were to ask, is this appropriate for, then you answer it then. But as far as marketing something as all ages, there was one particular campaign that I worked on that, while it was geared towards the little kids, it was written well enough that it could entertain an adult.
Right.
Because I think they would have done a lot better had they not marketed as all ages.
Right. I mean, because that's kind of because that's kind of the only thing that I could think of too. If all ages is kind of like not necessarily a deal breaker, but it's like, if it's something that gets in the way, then how do you market an all ages book without saying it's all ages? Right. Okay.
Right.
There's an option. So it's like, why take it? Well, you see, but that's the thing, though, because right now, that's what we're seeing. Now it kind of is an all or nothing, unless you're going to do, you're going to spend your entire summer, going to conventions. I mean, it's like, and you have the volume of conventions to support your book. You see, that's the thing. I mean, it's like, you're not going to go to a convention and sell out of your entire stock. I mean, it's like, at least that's rare on our end. It's like, I don't know, maybe you would sell out your entire stock, but also it depends on how many you okay, you'd rather buy at a convention. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, it's like you're meeting the creator, you're really getting to look through the
Save
book.
it on shipping.
Right, exactly. I'm not saying that conventions shouldn't be part of, of your marketing scheme. It's like, well,
It's-
yeah, I know. It's like, look,
That's
see,
the
that's the thing.
catch-22 there, dude.
Because it's like, I wouldn't, and I know that there was like a lot of people who were calling for, like there should be ratings for comic books, and it's like, yeah, it sounds
And
like
then
a good
here we
idea.
come with the Comics Code Authority again.
Right, and then
Fucking
it's like, yeah,
yeah,
you get that again,
no.
and it's like, no, I don't want a committee looking through my book and deciding what it is or what it isn't. It's like, it's like, I know enough about my books, like to call, to mark Eagle Raven as mature audiences. I don't feel I need to do that with Tall Tales. It's a much more general adventure book. But the thing is, though, is like, the last thing I need is to have to deal with a committee with someone with another stick up their ass. I deal
Right.
enough of that online already, with platforms and whatnot, and how we're supposed to do this and how we're supposed to do that. And, this person didn't like this, but, they let somebody else. It's like, no, that's not the way to go. You would think, it's like, look, I self-label Eagle Raven, but that's because that's what I feel comfortable with.
See, I agree with this. Like,
Yeah,
suggested, like, especially I think as people that write adult content, we
Right.
should slap a mature label, especially with the cartoony art styles.
Right. That for some reason people, have
See
no
it and they
problem
automatically assume it's for
kids.
children, and it's like, hey, here, go read this, and the next thing you know, your kid's telling you how to
asking questions. They're asking questions.
Yeah.
So so it's like, so that's the thing. It's like, so how would you market an all ages book without saying that it's all ages?
Just say no.
Yeah, really. There you go. Moral of the story, presidents' wives know dick about everything. They suck. President wives suck because they are so out of tune with everything, just like their husbands. So, but that's it. That's enough political commentary for the day. So that would be my question. Like, how would you like you see, that's the funny thing, because it's like, some teller, I was at the bank the other day, and the teller was trying to make small talk, which I absolutely hate. And she was talking about Toys R Us and how kids these days, they don't enjoy toys the way we used to.
Are you fucking kidding me?
And I was, I had made the mention that it's like, yeah, it seems that more adults collect toys, that more adults are buying toys than kids are, but whatever. It's like, it doesn't matter if the conversation's accurate or not. It was just a shitty conversation because the teller thought that we were having a bonding moment, and it's like, just make the fucking deposit and let me go. That's all I want, So
New York.
Yeah, very, very New York. So, but the thing is, though, that had me thinking that it's like, okay, so if, say we run with the idea that, all right, if adults are the ones that are leading this collectible market in children's toys, i.e. the toys that we grew up on, right? How do we imitate that for people who are selling all ages stuff, but they know they have to market to an adult somehow? Because those are the people who are going to be buying the books, not kids on Kickstarter. It's like on another show, on JD's show, it was talked about, kids don't drive themselves to Walmart. It's like they're, so it's like kids have to be, there has to be an adult, there's the adult gatekeeper, I guess you could say, the
Right,
money
for
keeper.
sure,
You
for
have
sure.
the keeper of the
The
money.
wallet.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you have, so you have the adult wallet that you need to convince that this thing is worth buying for their kid. And obviously what we're seeing is that just saying something is all ages isn't enough to do it.
Right.
So this was just something that I've just been ruminating on, that it's like, okay, so
And I've watched, because I've worked with, like, I don't know, 8 to 10 all ages campaigns. I'm very very selective. It's very rare I take something that's not a horror or an adult comic.
right.
But with the all ages, I've
Yeah.
yet to see it.
Right. I mean, it's like how do you make an all ages book collectible enough to an adult that they would buy it for their kids? Like, is that the angle that we kind of have
And
to
it's sad that you
look
have to, like, you should just be able to market it to them as this is something for your child to read.
Right.
Uh,
But that doesn't seem to be the
that doesn't
issue, isn't it?
it doesn't seem to work. No.
Yeah, it's like, it's almost like you have to sell it to the adult first, and if you're lucky, they'll give it to the kid. I mean,
But
well, that's a good point.
Yeah,
That's a good point. Archie doesn't
and
advertise.
still an older audience that I'm
Right.
referring
The
to
Sonic the
this.
Hedgehog is Sonic the like, you see, that's the thing. Is Sonic the Hedgehog like advertised as
No,
for
but
all
here's the
ages?
deal. No, but here's the deal. Those are in fucking stores. We can
Right.
go to even our fucking shithole fucking comic book store, not even the good one in New Orleans. We can go there and we can find the My Little Pony comics. We can find the Sonic the Hedgehog the comic. We can find and the kids are coming with us, so they're gonna
Right.
see that, and they're gonna, not to mention
Right.
names that are already established, like Sonic the Hedgehog and
Right.
My Little
Yeah.
Pony, have what nostalgia with the adults.
Right.
already.
Exactly. So the adults already recognize it, and it's like,
Right.
if their kids
And
want
so when
it,
your kid
they don't
points to
think-
it, it's like, oh hell
Yeah,
yeah.
I know. Right, exactly. So it's like, kind of like, the kid points to it, the parents go, oh hell yeah, but that's because that marketing is circling back to the adult, to the
So all ages people start writing Hasbro comics.
Yeah, I know. Really, that's the sad thing about it.
Yeah.
I mean, because, like, look, it's like, I just find it. I don't know. It's like, I just find it very. I don't know. I don't like our all ages brethren to be left out.
No, I don't either.
No.
Because
Because I think if anybody has a right to be angry with how everything is set up, is well, actually they do. That's the thing. I mean, you can't market collectibility. They either experience the nostalgia. So here's the thing. Okay, so so that's the thing. So what will we have to do? It's like, do you have to, like, really, really link your product to something nostalgic? Oh, maybe. You see, because also, yeah, that's kind of the thing too. Oh, because that was also a point that was brought up as well, or I don't remember if I brought it up or someone else had brought it up, where it's like, yeah, the kids are reading. We know they're reading. They're reading
Right.
manga. They're reading light novels. Where they're getting this shit from? They're getting it from Barnes and Nobles. And then it's like, not only that, but there's also that crossover where it's like that every manga has a show
in a store, on a shelf.
Right.
It's
Yeah,
there,
exactly. And then it's like, you also have that cross promotion. It's like, you pick up a manga, there's a show you can get into. If you watch the show, there's a manga you can get into. So it's like, it kind of cross pollinates, right? So it's like, but here's the thing though. Here's something, Nita. When was the last time you saw a manga on Kickstarter?
It's been a hot minute.
You see, that's the thing. Even I kind of had to stop.
You have to really look. The last one I saw was like something butterfly. I can't remember, but it was pretty.
Right.
But
I remember.
It's not often.
Right. Like, I think the last manga that I saw was a remastering of Tezuka's Unico series, which they've yet to put out. You know, it's like I'm still waiting.
And then
waiting.
again, are you using manga as in actual Japanese manga or
Just
manga
anything.
style influence?
Either or.
There's
Either or.
currently a manga influenced artist
Right.
with a crowdfunder right now.
You know, but one, right? It's not
Right.
like it's
No,
not like
it's not
dominating. I mean, if these are what the kids these days are reading, they're not getting that off of Kickstarter either.
No.
You know, it's like going back to, like, I was just watching a video by White Manga because I just installed Clip Studio Paint on my computer, and I'm just beginning, you know, and I'm watching some videos, you know, trying to get like a sense of the basics before I kind of decide what I want to do with it. You know, it's like how I'm going to move forward with using Clip Studio Paint and learning Clip Studio Paint. And, you know, and he does a manga called Apple Black, and he's working on his 3rd volume or his 4th volume right now. And, you know, and the thing is, though, is that he's not on Kickstarter. Last I checked, he wasn't. I didn't find him on Kickstarter. I found him on YouTube. You know, and then I'm like going, who is this guy? Why have I heard of this before? But again, I'm not sure. I'm having kind of like a deja vu moment with him.
Right.
And, you know, it's like he publishes his work through a company called Saturday AM, which, as far as I can tell, all they do is distribute through bookstores and booksellers, you know, and Amazon and like that's, you know, so it's like, they're not, as much as I know, they're not crowdfunding. You know, I mean, okay, it's like, if you want to be pedantic about it, all right, Antarctic Press, which has a lot of manga influenced books, they're on Kickstarter all the time. You know, but the thing is, though, is that, you know, it's like Antarctic Press still creates their books to the comic book crowd, not necessarily the manga crowd. You know what I mean? I mean, because like they're still doing the format, everything is still, you know, they're still in Diamond, they're still distributing through there, you know, so it's like they probably have that overlap on Kickstarter because of the comic book, you know, they're in Diamond and in comic book stores. But I don't think that if they were doing just strictly manga type work and selling their books as a manga, they'd be on Kickstarter either.
Right.
So that's the thing. So it's like, okay, if All Ages is not on Kickstarter, is not on crowdfunding, if manga is not on crowdfunding, where are they? But the thing is, though, does that mean that crowdfunding is off the table? Like I would not like to think so.
No.
You know, it's like, is it going to be a harder sell? Well, yes, if you look, okay, there aren't any Kickstarters for manga, which in reality there doesn't need to be, right? Yeah, that's what I think too. Like they don't really have like a need to you know, to go on crowdfunding, but you know, but that's the thing though. It's like, you know, we're talking about people like Sam and George. We're talking about, you know, like people like the Misadventurers, and you know, we're talking about things like Charms. You know, it's like where can they thrive? You know, it's like where you're too small to be at a larger publisher, right? You know, but you know, to take advantage of that system, you know, but the thing is, though, it's like, yeah, it's like, you know, crowdfunding should still be a viable option for you. There has to be, you know, yeah, maybe, you know, so it's like, yeah, so does that mean that, okay, if you do an all ages comics, that you have to tie it into nostalgia somehow for the adults to loosen their wallets?
Mm-hmm.
You know, like I know that Sam, he compares Duty a lot to the animated Alf series.
Right.
You know, so how, you know, it's like, so how much more does he have to like really get in there, you know, with this is like the Alf series, this is like E.T., you know, like really going for that nostalgia market rather than a children's market.
Well, the
You know?
children don't have the monies, do they?
Right. And the thing is, and look, and it's like I said, we've seen it enough times. Just saying something is all ages doesn't mean the parent that's enough for the parents to buy it.
No, absolutely not.
You know,
In fact, it's
yeah.
hard to even get them to look at it.
Right,
Like,
exactly.
The thing is, you've got to catch the attention of the moms and dads with the
Right.
imagery and the art, or in hopes of catching little Jimmy's fucking eyes as their
Right.
parents are scrolling through Kickstarter or
Right.
Indiegogo.
Right. You know what it is? You kind of have to get this moment, because we know that if the kid points at something, I want that. Parents more likely than not are going to ignore it because kids want everything, right?
Right.
But here's the thing. What I guess what it is you kind of have to get that moment where a parent is saying, "Oh, I want that," and then use the kid as an excuse to buy it. You know, that kind of weird
It's like
moment?
you've got to get the kid to see it though. No, it is that is how it works though, because like
Yeah.
Patrick's right, like tell that to the cereal and toy manufacturers.
Right.
What is it that fucking gets us to buy that sugary cereal? Are we gonna eat those goddamn Fruit Loops? Probably not. But those fucking kids are, and they're gonna harass the fuck out of you, and you're gonna be like, fuck it,
Right.
fuck it.
Yeah.
Not that that's healthy parenting, but seriously,
But the thing is, that's what they depend on.
No, but with crowdfunding, it's like, how do they see it if you can't market to them, and you can't market to them
Right.
on YouTube?
Right. You see, but that's the thing. That's why I'm saying that it's like maybe the mistake that's being made is that we think we have to market to kids,
No, we need to market to the parents.
but it's the parents we have to. You know what it is? It's kind of like how when Diamond was saying that their audience is not the people who read comics, it's the retailers.
Huh.
Right? So it's like, so that's the thing, because it's like, because even when we were kind of, we were selling, through Diamond, right? We had to remember that it's like we weren't selling to the audience. We had to sell to the retailer. We had to convince the retailer that our book was worth being in their store. And then the audience would see it there. And it's kind of like the same thing. It's like, maybe that's the thing. Maybe we have to, you see, I don't know. The more I'm hearing myself out loud, the more I'm beginning to think that the child has to be removed from the equation.
Yeah, fuck them kids.
I honestly, it's like I'm really, really beginning to think that. I mean, it sounds insane, but I really, it's like, yeah, because it's like, look, it's like our stuff is not in a supermarket where we can take advantage of a whiny kid pressuring their parents to buy a cereal.
It's just like it has to. The all ages is only going to thrive when it's on the shelves.
So it's like it's like, now, mind you, this is just me pulling ideas out of my ass. I am not saying any of this as any type of authority. Like I said, I just started brainstorming this, because
we're trying,
because it's like, I really do think it's unfair that it's like an entire creative angle is being pushed out, because of, it's like,
it's terrible. It's
so it's like, so the only thing, so it's like, the more we talk about it, the more,
because guess what's not going to be nostalgic to those kids in 15-20 years?
What?
Comic books, because they never had them.
That's, yeah, I know, right? Unless they look like a manga. You see, that's the thing. It's like, you see, which also brings us to another thing that came up too, where it's like, if we know that manga is, that it does have the audience is there, would it be also beneficial for us to start looking at that as a viable format for our work. You know, I mean, that's kind of the reason why I installed Clip Studio Paint, because it's like, you know, I'm thinking, it's like, you know, if I were to take Tall Tales and reformat that to manga size and really like put together that aesthetic, you know, now mind you, I'm also thinking of this in terms of this would do better at conventions,
Right.
not online. So it's like already I have everything compartmentalized, you know. You know, would those books sell in the format that these kids are familiar with? Would they be willing to try a book they've never heard of, but it's in the format that they're familiar
Absolutely,
with?
because they're going to be walking through the. Are you talking about on crowdfunding or at your
Oh
table?
no, at the
your table, yes, absolutely, because it'll be like Jaden has picked up fucking manga
Right.
that she's never read before, walking past it in the store, picking up, looking at it. Oh, this
Right.
looks good. I'm taking
Right.
it, and that
Right. You know, it's like, so that's kind of something that I want to experiment with, reformat, because yeah, sure, I can see like as everyone starts to transition to that format, probably thinking, if all the kids are reading the mangoes, what if our book looked like the mangoes? So it's like, yeah, that's exactly that's kind of like what, maybe it's a format issue.
Mm-hmm.
You know, not necessarily a content issue, but a format issue. And then also you got to consider too that manga is a lot less expensive than a
it
comic.
is, especially when you're looking at the amount of content you get for the same price.
Right. You know, like if there was a way for us to print those types thicker books cheaper, you know, that it's like, would that give us the advantage that we're kind of like trying to scramble on? You know, I mean, it's like, yeah, it's like, it, like I said, it's like, it's, you know, so yeah, so what are the big questions today? How to sell children's comics to the parents, not the kids, right? How to sell children's comics to adults, right? And also, is it format? Is format just as important? If the dominant selling format is
meaning
manga,
exactly format, like shrink that shit down,
right?
Manga style, like,
You know, like, yeah, it's like, so we're talking about, you know, like, I'm taking this and turning it into this.
Yeah,
you know, literally format.
It'll give them that
familiar,
familiar
so
feel.
instead of doing a trade like this, I'm altering the format so that it looks like this, even in black and white. You know, would I sell more of this if it looked like this? And mind you, it's like, that's also running on the idea that maybe the answer is more superficial than we think. You know, because it's not like the artwork's going to change. It's just going to be in grayscale and in a smaller, thicker format. I don't know. This is something that I'm not going to know until I actually do it.
Right.
So, but that's also kind of what we were thinking about as well, is like, is the solution more superficial? Is it a format issue? If we looked like, kind of like we're camouflaging mainstream American comic books, we're camouflaging them as manga, as foreign manga, so that the audience that reads these books picks us up as well, or at least finally considers us. You know, let me see. You know, I mean, it's like, that's true. I mean, there were a lot of times, there were a lot of ideas that Disney pushed that almost bankrupted the company. You know, I mean, it's like, look, Snow White almost bankrupted the company. Fantasia, his most experimental film, definitely almost bankrupted the company. If it wasn't for Dumbo to save it, Dumbo can't. They had to do Dumbo because it was a short, you know, like kind of like really simple movie to make, and it completely saved the company. Fantasia was ready to sink the company. That there was like one more There was one other. The movie it's like they had like there was also like that weird period in like I think like the late 90s where they were putting out like Treasure Planet, Atlantis.
Yeah.
And then I think there was one more, and that almost bankrupted the company until they put out Lilo and Stitch. So it's like, yeah, it's like, I don't know. Yeah, it's like, but yeah, it's, but that's the thing though, that was also, Disney took a lot of chances. Walt himself took a lot of chances with his content, with the stuff that he made, and it's like, well, what's funny is that I don't feel bad calling Disney stuff content, because even he back in the day said that that's what it was.
Right.
He says, I don't make art, I make this is not art what I'm making commerce,
which is really sad.
Right. Yeah. And it's like, so yeah, so that's kind of like what I was like ruminating on. It's like, so for all the people selling all ages comics, it's like, what's the solution? Stop calling your stuff all ages and just try to sell your stuff to adults who hopefully, if you're lucky, they'll give it to their kids, or on the other side, on the other note is, do we reformat our stuff as manga so that all the kids that are reading manga will actually consider our work? That's a lot for everybody to think about. It's like, I mean, that's kind of like where I am. It's like, look, it's like when I'm like laid up, on the sofa with my leg up, just to, all I can do is just think about this stuff. So it's like, so those are like the two things. Well, I mean, unless it's My Hero Academia,
which did remarkably
well. Which is doing very well, so I mean, but the thing is though, it's like I think that manga as a whole is so vast that it's like, you know what, it's like, look, it
really has something for
everybody, right? Exactly, it really has something for everybody. It's only like in the United States where it's like, no, you have to fit these parameters.
You want to look at cute little happy fluffy penguins,
you can do that.
You want a sword fight with dicks,
you can do that. It's like, yeah, it's like manga has everything, but it's like American mainstream comics, like, well, you either have to do superheroes, or you have to do titty books, or you have to do something that combines both if you want to be successful in crowdfunding.
Right.
And it's like, and like I said, it's like, as somebody who has no interest in any of those things, it's like I have to, think, it's like I have to think of other options. It's like, okay, if I'm not going to make these books, I have to understand it's going to be a tough road for me to sell more books, and that's pretty much it. And it's like, and there's a certain, there's a certain thing. Remember what I keep saying? It's like 0%. Spend 0% on what you cannot control. I cannot control the market the way it is.
No.
But I can control how I react to it and what I produce in reaction to it, and what I won't produce in reaction to it. So I know those aren't the type of books I am ever going to make. So it's like, okay, so I can only control the consequences of that decision, of how I react to the consequences of that, so, that's kind of, that's kind of all I got for today. I mean, luckily we just hit the top of the hour. Do you have
seriously mouth breathing now?
Yeah, I know, really.
For some more medicine.
Do you have do you have any final congested thoughts?
No, that was it. Like, it's like, I don't want to hear about your struggle unless you're doing all ages.
Right.
Nobody else has a right to bitch.
I mean, yeah, it's tough. It's tough out there. And the thing is though, is that I also don't want, it's like, I don't want to be able, it's like, you see, and that's the thing too. I want to be able to contemplate all this without somebody coming out and saying, well, just do a titty book. And it's like, bitch, I'm
Right.
not doing a titty book, so that's
Right.
off the table. So it's like, don't come to me with people giving it that's not advice anymore for me.
No.
It's like, that's the thing. It's like, if that's not I am not doing that book, so that advice is useless to me. And I know there's a lot of people in watching where it's like, that's not, that advice is useless to them too. So it's like, you know what? That's not advice. Just do titty books. Just do a superhero. It's like, no, there is no just. Okay. It's like, I'm doing this because I'm telling a story that I want to tell, not because I'm trying to follow a bag. Like I said, if I wanted money, I'll go get a job. It'll be a lot easier for me. Right. That's true. Right. So like I said, there's certain types of advice that there comes a point where it's completely useless to us, and we have to decide what we're going to do or not do.
You got to take what you need and leave the rest. And this is an industry with a lot going on in a million different directions. There is no secret sauce.
Right.
You can have the same genre book for the same fucking age group and two completely different outcomes, varying on network, social media, your marketing ability, who you know, who
right.
you
Yeah,
slept
exactly.
with, who you haven't slept with. It goes on and on and on.
Right.
There are so many fucking variables.
Right.
We're just throwing it at the wall. Take what you need and leave the rest.
Yeah, exactly. We're just watching to see what sticks just as much as everybody else. Because like, look,
and that's what sticks for us. That doesn't necessarily mean it's going to stick for you.
Right, exactly. It's like we're just looking at tea leaves at this point, to tell you the truth. So, take the information how you need to take it, So here we are at the top of the hour. I want to thank everybody in the chat for putting in their 25 cents, because we have to adjust for inflation. So it's like, so thank you so much. And like I said, if you are catching this on the replay, don't forget to join, to watch, to read all the sexy stuff in the chat that our sexy chat puts up. I mean, it's like they're just as much part of the show as we are. So there's a lot of information there as well, a lot of advice, a lot of different point of view. So make sure you check them out as well. And yes, I see you, the 9 people next to the giant eyeball on my screen. You actually managed to stay through the entire hour, and I would like to thank my leg for not bothering me this entire hour. I'm very happy with it, but I still have to get up and move eventually. So again, thank you everybody for joining us on this Friday. I hope you have a very uneventful weekend. And considering what's been happening, I really do mean that.
All right.
Let's have a very uneventful weekend. So if you want to see more of me and my artwork and everything else, you're going to head on over to my main portfolio site at egoworks.com, EGOWORKS, where you can find links to all of my galleries and social media sites, but I mostly post to Facebook. If you're into seeing sketches and work in progress and real-time updates, that's the phrase that I've been trying to say all this time. Facebook is where you can find real-time updates for everything that I'm doing. And yes, and you could also, if you're just catching the butt end of this stream, or you want to catch the replays of any of our streams, make sure you can also watch all my videos at Daphne Lage, Lage art, which also simulcasts through the Indie Comics Network. So make sure to .com. That's true. Oh, I haven't heard that in a while. It's
.com.
So you can go over to both our channels, 3 channels actually. It's Daphne Lage Art, Indie Comics Network, and Indie Comics Network After Dark on YouTube. Subscribe to all 3 channels, hit the notification bell so you get notified whenever any of our shows go live. And again, if you're watching us from Facebook, watching us from Twitter, the next time we go live, come on over to YouTube, join the sexy people in the chat. It's a lot easier. Oh, yes. And also today at 3:00, Arting with the Alley Cat, our very own big brain Allison is going to be doing artwork and interviews today at 3. So make sure you go over there and say hi as well. And also for those of you who don't know, I am serializing the full color version of Eagle Raven, Heir of the First Unicorn, on my website at eagleworks.com. So every day you get an update to read. So if you're not, so the Kickstarter is coming up. If you haven't heard of it before and you want to check out the story for yourself, you can now read it for free on my website as it appears on the Kickstarter remastered version. And if you're feeling a little impatient, you can also download a 16-page sampler of the first issue as well. And also, if you sign up for my monthly newsletter, you'll also get even more comic PDFs to try out. You'll get Tall Tales. You'll also get the Oswald Chronicles as PDFs to try out as well as not missing out on any of our upcoming campaigns. So that's it for me and Nita. Have a nice weekend. And in the words of the ancients, eat your food, moisturize, mind your business, both literally and figuratively, and do the work, because when you actually do the work, you never have to fake any of your accomplishments. Have a nice weekend. See you Monday.
I like titty books.
Bye.